Welcome back to the Writer's Room. I'm Jane Cleland, the author of the Josie Prescott Antiques Mysteries and Noir Plays, and it's my great privilege to be chatting with Wendy Corsi Staub, the author of more than 70 New York Times best-selling novels in multiple genres, from single-title psychological suspense to thrillers to young adult paranormal to chick lit. We left off ready to talk about ideas. Wendy, where do you get ideas?
They come at me from every direction in my daily life. I tend to write domestic suspense, meaning it's about women very much like me. You know, I'm married, I have 2 children, I live in a suburban town, and so I will be driving my children to school and something strikes me as a what if that will take off going
so you use what if
dark direction, yeah.
as a way of developing ideas.
Absolutely.
Do you have a vetting process? How do you know which ones are good?
I know that they will work. First of all, if they scare me, you know, I'm afraid of everything, almost everything. But if it strikes me as something that I haven't done before, for one thing, because I've written quite a few books, so I try to come up with something different.
Yeah.
And if it's too similar, I just discarded a plot that came to me the other day. I realized, I think I kind of did that. Did I do that? I did. Wow. So
that's right. How can you possibly remember?
Yeah.
The plots of 70 books.
Yeah, well, I do, but I'm trying to keep it fresh for readers because the trick in this business is always to deliver the same thing in a fresh way because readers, once you have a readership,
they want the familiar.
They know what they expect.
And what do your readers expect? What are some of the components that they're going to find in your books?
They expect a villain who is masked and in plain sight, usually. I will have the villain who is in the heroine's everyday life, usually. And I will go into the villain's head. You usually don't know if it's a male or a female. And you'll meet the villain that way, and then you'll meet them through the heroine's eyes again.
Yes.
So you don't know who. And at the end, I like it when a reader writes to me and says, I didn't see that coming. You have to play fair.
Yeah.
You know, it's sleight of hand. It's like a magician doing magic tricks. You're making them look over here and over here.
While you're doing something over there.
Yes, and when they go back, I love it when people tell me they went back and reread. And you're so clever, I didn't see it the first time.
Yeah. I would agree that ideas happen a lot. But my trick is that because Josie is an antiques appraiser who uses her knowledge of antiques to solve crimes, I have to come up with an idea that's antiques driven, and I find that hard. Are there any components that you find hard in developing the idea?
It has to be home and hearth, that theme. So if I have a crooked politician in this new book, Live to Tell. It's not new, it's actually the first in the new trilogy. And I had to be very careful not to get too involved in the political drama and to keep it domestic and psychological suspense. You know, I couldn't go off in that direction.
Because political thrillers are another genre.
It's another genre.
It's just not what you write. Right.
And also, when you're doing research, you really want it to be authentic. Yes. And, I don't like to get out of my element. Get letters.
That makes sense. Now, perhaps what we just talked about is one answer to my next question, which is, why are you a best-selling author? And I mean that seriously. Are you a better writer? Is it that you have found a niche and your readers know they can count on you over and over again for that satisfaction of whatever that is? Do you think you're luckier?
I think it's B. I think that I found a niche. I feel very comfortable writing domestic suspense, and my readers are so loyal. And basically, I would say, yes, it's a little bit of luck, absolutely. I wouldn't say I'm...
Well, now remember what Samuel Goldwyn said about luck. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's what it is. It's saying yes to everything. That's always been my go-to word. If they ask me if I can deliver a month sooner so that they can get this out a month sooner for whatever reason, I will say yes, even if it makes me crazy.
Which is why you can write a 100,000-page book in 3 months.
Yeah, whatever they've asked over the years, whatever my editors have asked, I've always accommodated, and also just been prolific. And I think it's really important to focus on getting product out there for people to buy. I mean, they want books. They'll buy them if they like them.
Yeah.
So
hard work.
Yes.
We talked about discipline before.
Coffee. Coffee. Waking up early.
Working.
But it is hard work, and I feel so blessed to be doing what I'm doing that every day I wake up worried that it's going to go away. So I work at it.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Now, you mentioned research earlier. How much research do you do in your books? Do you have to research weapons, for example?
I try to stay away from forensics if I can, from weapons in any case. I do as much research as necessary. If I write myself into a corner where I realize, I'll bring in an expert. I talk to my lawyer a lot. I talk to my doctor, people like that. I have an FBI agent that helps me, but I don't write procedural, so it's not as technical.
But you still have to be
absolutely
correct.
Accurate, and I'm a stickler for details. And actually, yesterday I was writing a scene that flashed back to March 7th in the year 2000, and I wasted about an hour trying to find out what the weather was like exactly and what time the rain started,
funny.
whatever, on that day, and what people might have been wearing, and
wow,
those are the kinds of things that make it real for me and for the reader.
It resonates with a truthfulness which makes the whole suspense believable, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
If this is accurate,
then
this thing
too.
could really happen to me.
And I
just actually got a little shiver. I'm beginning to understand why your books are so unput-downable.
Thank you.
Well, it's really true. I remember once you had a little tagline, another sleepless night, another Wendy Corsi Staub thriller.
Yes.
It's 100% true.
Thank you.
Talk to me about being a female author. And I have a specific question about it. Sisters in Crime, an industry association that was formed more than 25 years ago to help women achieve parity, is measured by review inches and by advances from the publisher. 25 years.
Right.
Has it worked?
I think we're making great strides. I think women are making great strides. I'm feeling like I'm in a man's world sometimes because I write suspense novels, and I've had people say, the romance isn't strong enough in this novel, or the romance got lost in the suspense plot. And I will say, what made you think it was a romance? Oh, I thought you were a romantic suspense author. Romance is such a female-driven industry. Suspense, I tend to think when you're a woman, and lots of people very successfully do romantic suspense. The assumption there, I think, was that I was a woman, so I must be writing romantic suspense.
As opposed to
thrillers. Happened a few times. That's happened a few times lately. So it's frustrating for me because they're not romantic suspense novels. And I sometimes wonder if I should have used initials. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it hasn't held me back. Yeah. And I have men as well as women reading my books.
Oh, that's nice.
So I don't know.
But what about in terms of review inches? Do you think you have a better chance of getting reviewed if you're a man?
In suspense, yes. I do think so. There was a summer read section in Entertainment Weekly. A very well-known male author chose his top 20, I think, or 15 summer thrillers. Yeah. And there was one by a woman and there were 14 by a man. So I just sort of felt like it was just second nature. I mean, there probably are more books written by women, but...
Written by men.
Written by men, yes.
Right. But still, probably more than one written by a woman would be worth making the list. Yeah. And it's funny how you can achieve parity in some ways, and it's almost like whack-a-mole. Something else will come up that makes you...
But again, I think we're making great strides, and organizations like Sisters in Crime and, Thriller Writers and Mystery Writers of America, they certainly...
are doing their best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've received many honors over the years, many awards. 2008 Romance Times Award for Career Achievement in Suspense, 2007 Romance Writers of America, the New York City Golden Apple Award for Lifetime Achievement. You received the Rita Award and the prestigious Mary Higgins Clark Award this year. So nominated for. Nominated for.
Thank
you. Congratulations on all of that. It's so impressive. My question is, what are some other career highlights that had an effect on you? And I'll give you an example. Okay. In every one of my books, Josie, my protagonist, uses her father's favorite quote, which is, "To silver light in the dark of night." And I love that concept, the idea that it's cloud cast and it's thick and it's scary, and all of a sudden the silvery light of a moon comes through. Yeah, I like that. A woman named Bonnie made me a bookmark, just the most beautiful bookmark that showed just that exact scene, and sent it to me. And the thought that those words touched her in that way was so meaningful to me.
And how nice that she reached out and told you.
And took the time to do it and sent it to me and took the time, You have any moments like that?
I do. In terms of connecting with the reader in that way, where you
Something
didn't
that
realize
means-
that you touched
yeah,
someone.
yeah.
And then you think about all the people that you may have touched along the way that you never knew
That's
about.
right.
Yeah, I lost my mom in 2005 to breast cancer, and it was a really tough loss for our family. I also lost my mother-in-law to the same disease, and
my
was
goodness.
feeling really bruised and battered. And a few months later, I had to go travel and speak. I was a lunch speaker at a conference in Denver. And so the speech that I had written, on the plane, when I got there, it didn't feel right. I wound up discarding it, and I talked to her about a half hour about being in a tiny percentage, going for the impossible, and how in my career the odds that a small town girl could make the New York Times bestseller list and have this career were so small. And my mom was the person who said, go for it. You can if you work really hard. So I gave this
again.
whole, and I drew the parallel that when my mom was really, really ill, the odds were not good. And she said, there's a 1% chance, but one person out of 100 is going to beat it. And why not me? She had always told me when I was little, why not you? Why won't you? Why
Right.
can't you?
Right.
And then when she was 6, she used the same, why can't I be in that 1%? Yeah. So I gave this, and never give up and always fight and work really hard. So I gave this very motivational, I was sobbing, people in the room were sobbing. It wasn't my prettiest moment. But afterward, this woman came up to me and she said, I was diagnosed yesterday and they told me it's terminal. And she said, there's a controversial high-risk treatment that I can do. And I wasn't even thinking it would be worthwhile because the odds were, I think, 1%. And so we exchanged cards and she, kept in touch with me a little while, and then she fell off the face of the earth and I never heard from her again. And I was so worried in the back of my mind, I thought. And then a few years later, she showed up at a signing that I was doing in Florida a few years ago. She came in for this event and she walked up to me, she hugged me and she said, you saved my life. The treatment worked. I was the 1% and I would never have thought it could work. And
that's up there.
That was a moment that, I don't know that I saved her life. She probably would have come to her own realization, but she just said it was very inspiring to think that somebody has to be
that 1%.
Yeah. And she was, and I loved it.
That's quite a story.
That's great.
You've been in publishing for so many years. You've seen just enormous changes from the consolidating of publishing houses, consolidation, to ebooks.
Right.
What's next? What do you think the future is going to bring?
Ebooks are next and next and next again. I think that they have taken hold. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that any place that opens up a whole new opportunity for all of us to sell books and for people to read books is valid and wonderful. I think we're all just finding our footing again in this climate of change.
And you think we will?
I think we will. I think we are slowly. Publishing is resistant to change, just like any other industry, but people are growing.
Are dealing with it. What are you working on now? Where do you see your future heading?
Right now, I'm just, the third book in this trilogy is coming out this fall. It's called Hell to Pay. That's the book that I changed it up and rewrote it, and so that will conclude that trilogy. And then next year I have another trilogy coming from Harper. It's called Nightcrawler. It's the first book. It's set on it opens on September 10th in New York City, 2001.
Oh boy.
So it's a flashback book, and then the next two in that series are in the present day, and Sleepwalker, followed by Shadow Killer that I'm writing right now.
Wow.
And those will all be out next fall. And I'm also working on a new young adult paranormal series. Cross your fingers.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been a
Jane.
real privilege.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.